Sima is with us. Sima Samar, please.
Yeah, I am with you.
Wonderful, and it's wonderful to see you and to hear your voice after so long. Sima was the first chairperson of the Afghanistan Independent Human Rights Commission. She's a prominent women and human rights activist. She served in many positions with the UN and has received many recognitions as well for human rights work. A great friend of Asma's, and I hope I can say this, Sima, a great fan of mine as well. Sima, given your experience as a rights activist, a politician, a cabinet member in previous Afghan governments, you know what, Farzana spoke about the mindset and how important it is when it comes to shaping women's lives for the better or the worse. But there's another issue which we now see in Afghanistan, which is the legal and the judicial structures. Because that's, rule of law and rights under the law can either protect women and girls or subject them to oppression. What, in your understanding right now, is the impact of Sharia-based governance on women's legal rights and protections? Was there a huge amount of progress made before the Taliban takeover? It's a question that I'm often asked. Was there progress made? And if so, how much have women actually lost since the Taliban takeover? Sima.
Yes, good morning, good afternoon, and thank you very much for including me in this program. And I like to say salam to everyone, and particularly to my Afghan sister, which I really miss both of them, or all of them. And I try not to get emotional, but I think I'll start with remembering Asma's struggle for human rights and all the other human rights defenders. And I feel how empty is her space. And we need all of us to follow her work and keep her guidance in our daily basic life. I'll start with the question that you said, but also some issue to highlight some of the other issues. One, I think in a society, when we are talking about mindset, in a society, when you want to destroy the civilization or to destroy the overall nation, you destroy the education system. This is what's happened in Afghanistan, unfortunately. The education system was somehow destroyed and disvalued, I would say, because when the Russian was in Afghanistan, they tried to bring their own ways of education rather than what we had before the Russian invasion, which was much better and much up to date rather than what the Russian brought. And then the opposition, including in Pakistan with a lot of refugees, they started to brainwash our children and your children, and destroy the formal education, up-to-date education system in the country. So we see that the mindset is changed from that part. So when you destroy the education system in a country, you actually destroy the foundation for civilization, for democratization, for rule of law, and for a lot of other things. This is one point. The second point that, again, it's depend on the mindset of the people, is that you devalue women. And that's connecting back to the education system. And the education, the madrasas, which was started for Afghan refugees and also for Pakistani children, it doesn't matter where. But the reality is that they are brainwashed, and in their view and their opinion, woman doesn't have any value. So practically you fight or work against the dignity of yourself. Because how do you have a value if you are born of somebody who has half a value or devalue or dehumanize, whatever you think? Call it your property. How can you justify that situation? So naturally, you destroy the whole foundation of, again, of equality, of human rights, of respect for human dignity. When that value is not there, then you don't really expect a lot of good mindset from those people who currently either in Afghanistan or in Pakistan are existing. The third point that I would like to mention is the destruction of the principles, destruction of human dignity, like let's say destruction of human rights, principle of human rights, because they think in your country, and it's in my country, and they, even in the high level people who try to support in your country, try to support the Taliban, they keep saying those values of human rights and promotion of equality is Western value. It's not Afghan value. That's why it was rejected by Afghanistan. For God's sake, the principle of human rights is a human value. It's a not Western value. Who on earth wants to be treated as a slave? Who do not want to have access to good food? Who do not want to be free from fear and wants? Who do not want to live in peace? Who do not want to live with freedom? So that devalue or devaluation of the principle of human rights is another cause when the whole society is destroyed, and then they cannot really build based on justice, based on human rights, and based on equality. So that is the 3 points, unfortunately, that I mentioned is happening in my country, and you like it or not, it does have direct impact in your country.
Absolutely.
Because
I completely agree, Sima. I think you're absolutely right. It has a direct impact on this side of the border. It's not something that we assume it's happening in another country to people who are in a different political or security system. I think this is a recognition which is so important. You know, I would...
Yeah, I think they...
Thank you again, Sima.
Yeah,
we'll come back to you, if I may. If I may.
3, 4 more minutes. I just want to use...
Please.
Let me say that when all these values are not there, then you don't have a society with rule of law and access to justice.
Absolutely.
When there's no rule of law and no access to justice, then it's a rule of jungle. Whoever has the gun or whoever has the power, they are imposing their mentality and their position on the other people. We see it in the jungle when there's no rule of law. So I think the access to justice, access to live with dignity and basic rights and freedom is not luxury. It is not related to the color of the skin or the language they speak or the geography they live. So everyone has the right to those freedom and rights.
Absolutely.
So that's why I think it's really important. The final point that I would like to mention, that we see how they learn from each other. We see it, what they do in Afghanistan, they actually repeat it in Pakistan. Much more, they repeat it in the other neighboring countries. You see they are doing it in Mali, for example. They are doing it in Somalia. They are doing it in another countries who are really, let's say, Muslim countries. They learn from each other and try to do that. When you see the violence against women during the conflict, how the sexual gender-based violence during the conflict, how they're repeating it, because there's no accountability. Exactly. So the point that I would like to mention, and it will be my final point, is that if there's no accountability, if there's no justice, We fuel the culture of impunity, and we fuel the culture of jungle. So there's no rule of law, no justice, no respect for human rights. So that is not going to be, if we promote that in Afghanistan, it's not going to stay in our boundary wall. It will reach to the others, particularly with the advancement of technology. They learn from each other so much. And thank you very much. Once again, I would say that we really miss Asma, and we need to fill and follow her dreams. And that's our responsibility. Thank you very much.
Thank you.